This is the Rushmore Show where it's all about your top four and nothing more. Well, guys, welcome to the show. And we have just started in on food and our food topics. And man, what a great week we had last week. Had Kaab back. Kaab was just a great friend that has been on our show quite a few times. And as you can see, I'm by myself again. Andy is out in Argentina still, and he is he is serving the missionary field out there, and I think he's on his way back pretty soon. So hopefully, pretty soon we will see Andy back here on the show. But until then, you get me. This week we are jumping into. Hey, what's up, Hammie and Son? Welcome to the show. You are the first one in. Man, we are talking cuisine today. And I got a great friend, man. He's been on, this is his third time on the show. And what's up, Logan? Welcome to the show. Thanks, man. Yeah, we got a great guy. This is going to be his third time on the show. He's been on for 2 other episodes. But let's talk real quick, man. It's been a great week. It's been a great week for the Rushmore Show. It's been a great week for ministry. Next weekend, we're going to be hanging out at the St. Tammany Collectors Con, and I am super excited. We'll be preaching down in southern Louisiana at the convention at the show, Andy and I, and we're going to get to hang out with all our buds, some of our best friends that we haven't seen in quite some time, and the show is got lots of Power Ranger folks coming in. They've got all kinds of friends from just the cartoon world, the just pop culture in general. And you can hear my dog playing with her toy. I apologize. She is. It's just me and her tonight. So she really wants to play with this freaking pig that is absolutely the most annoying toy known to me. Yeah, so we're gonna have a blast down there in southern Louisiana. But this week we are jumping into cuisine. So food cuisines, and we've got a guy that's coming on who is he's a little classically trained, if you will. Not only does he love wrestling, but he loves to eat. And here's that pig toy that you guys are hearing. And she is absolutely staring it down. I got it right now. I'm gonna have to throw it out in a minute. So she is really, really wanting it. So, anyways, let's talk about what's coming up. Next week we have Dennis on. We're gonna do chips, top 4 greatest. Oh, look, there she is. Oh, you can't see. Come over here. There she is. But she really wants the toy. Next week, we are going to do top 4 chips. And then the week after, we're going to have a Thanksgiving special. It's going to be Andy's whole family and my whole family on one show. It's going to be really awesome. We don't have a topic yet. We've already done Thanksgiving food, so I don't know where we're going to go with it. Maybe best pie at I don't know. We'll figure something out. But all of our kids are going to be on, and it's going to be a great show. And we'll be back home for that. So I'm going back home 2 weekends in a row. But let's get the show started, man. It really sucks that we don't have Andy around to kind of hang out and kind of chat that over. But hopefully, if you guys are out there, you're praying for Andy. So, hey, let's get this show rocking and rolling. And let's get into it. Top 4 food cuisines of all time. This is going to be interesting. Let's get it. All right, so here we go. Top 4 food cuisines of all time. I'm bringing on a guy that we've spent time in ministry together. He's come down. We met him as he came to Atlanta for missions. And him and his church served out here in Atlanta, and then come to find out he's a huge wrestling fan. He's also a sports fan, and come to find out the guy is classically trained, if you will. He's gone to school in culinary arts and learned to be a chef. So he's got many skills. And let's welcome on today one of our pastor friends. Let's welcome PJ Dunn to the show. PJ, how is it going? Let's zoom us in.
What's up, everybody? What's going on? Rushmore Show. How's everybody out there doing? Glad to be back on. It's a privilege and an honor to be here. And it's a privilege and honor to say I am now a three-time Rushmore guest host.
Yeah, man, I love that. So remind me, we just kind of talked about it. You were on for the best wrestling finishers of all time. What was the other show that you were on?
It was football related, and I know all my picks were Buccaneers picks.
Oh, yeah. It was, yeah, you're right. So I think it was, I don't remember.
Did it have some? I'm trying to, was it maybe draft picks or, I don't know. It was something football.
No, I think it was the best draft. No, was it fantasy football? No.
I know all my picks were Buccaneers.
So tell me a little bit. So for all of our friends, all the 0 of them here right now, but yeah. So hopefully some people will jump in. It's a Friday. I know I got a couple friends that are busy, and rightfully so. Andy's not here, and maybe they just want to see Andy's face and me. So tell all of our folks a little bit about you. Tell us about the Reformationist podcast.
Sure.
Tell us what you got going on. When's the last time you were rocking and rolling? What's up, DJ? Hello. So tell us about the Reformationist podcast. What's that?
Reformationist podcast. I started it a little over a year ago before I went into the hospital. It was this time last year. I was just getting out of the hospital.
Yeah, tell us about that too.
Pretty bad infection. Crazy. Yeah, I went in. I had an infection, bone infection, and I was septic. Had all kinds of stuff going on. Very slim chance of making it out. Let alone walking again. They wanted to cut my leg off, but through divine healing and prayer and finding the right doctors who didn't just want to cut my leg off and find the right treatment,
that's crazy.
Being led down that route, I'm a walking miracle today. So I'm healthy. I'm home. I was sitting on the floor playing with my daughter yesterday, just reminiscing about that time I spent in the hospital. Like just a year ago, I was sitting in a hospital bed, all wrapped up and cut up and everything. And here I am sitting on the floor playing with my little girl, so.
That is so crazy. And look, when you did that, you were just kind of starting the Reformationist podcast. And we had filmed already. And it didn't come out until much later because you were sitting in the hospital for a few weeks, months, whatever. How long were you there again?
I was there for a month, but I was in recovery, going to treatment every day, 5 days a week for months.
Yeah, I mean,
I wasn't free from all of it until March.
We were praying for you tremendously, and I mean, it is what it is. But
pretty much the premise of the show is, I shoot a little segment called Coffee with Pastors. I invite people that are in ministry, pastors, ministers, priests, deacons, bishops, worship leaders, chaplains. If you're in ministry full time and you want to get on and have a talk about ministry, a testimony about ministry, even if it's unconventional ministry, like doing mission work or work in the streets, doing outreach work, hit us up and we'll get you on and we'll have a conversation over a cup of coffee. You notice I still have my coffee. It might not be my show, but I still have my coffee because coffee fuels ministry. So it's just, hey, you want to jump on, let us know, and we'll have a talk. It's just a casual, free talk about ministry. We keep it non-abusive, and we don't try and hurt anybody's feelings or stir anything up or cause any wounds or issues, just to talk about what God's doing in our lives through ministry.
Yeah, I love the show. A lot of cool questions. I love the firefighter approach where you have all the questions and kind of go with that. Yeah. But we talked about parenting on the episode I was on.
Yeah.
I was out with kids saying, gosh, I got to get back on. I know Andy's been on a couple times, on that recently. You were telling me in like the green room about your last show. What happened on your last show?
Well, so I've been trying to find people to come on the show. And the last episode I got a friend of mine. The Lord kind of just said, hey, ask this guy. He's in Bible college right now. He's working towards getting into full-time ministry. He's a former MMA fighter from like back in the Ken Shamrock days before UFC was this big thing, when it was just bare knuckles cage fighting or whatever it might have been called back then. He turned his life to Jesus. He got involved in doing some work for the parish that he worked for to do coroner work. So he's an assistant to the coroner. But he jumped on the show, gave his testimony. He has a big reach of people because of the MMA, the UFC, the training. He did some modeling. That episode, we usually average 30 to 40 views per episode. That episode, after the first weekend, we were skyrocketing up to like 500. We had 550 views. But because a lot of those were just clicks and not full watches. I know you've talked about it on the show. Last week you talked about it. Watch, put the hours in, put the time in, even if you just leave it on in the background. It's more important for you to watch the whole episode than to just click on it and say, I watched it. Because those clicks get taken down by YouTube and it messes up your algorithm. So in one day, we went from 500 something views all the way back down to like 250. And it was like a shock. And it was like a punch in the gut. Like, man, I just lost 300 views because people were just clicking. But from that, he decided, because of the success of that, he decided to launch his own podcast. And now he's doing testimonies and getting people from the MMA world to come on and do interviews with them, and people from his background to get up and do testimonies. So just sharing testimonies and stuff. But man,
what's his show?
Oh, let me pull it up real quick. I think it's Connecting with Jesus. Let me just double check. Give me a second, and I will have it. Yeah, there it is. Connecting Through Christ.
Connecting Through Christ. So I want to share it down here, and let's all just go storm him and help him start what he's got going on over there.
He's been going for about a month, and he's got 31 subscribers, and he's getting a good amount of views
now. And I'm going to share it. I'm going to share his page right here. Everybody that's in here, go and just kind of flood him if you can. And I'm going to put it here in our chat, and go holler at him and tell him where you found him. And there it is right there. I just sent it. There it is. So
hey.
Hopefully you guys can go and check that out, Connecting Through Christ. But hey, welcome. We got some more people coming in. Today we're talking cuisine. So I know in the green room you were kind of like jokingly talking like there's only 7 cuisines. So tell me why and how you even know that. Like, what's all this culinary art?
Let me share this picture right here.
What we got? Oh, look at that guy.
That is Chef Peter, co-owner of
Pedro.
Co-owner of Ridge Pizza. This dates back to, oh my goodness, 2008, 2007? I don't even know. Let's look at the front. March 8th, 2008.
Nice.
So my first
16 years ago. I mean, that's a whole century ago. Wait, March what?
March 8th, 2008. Yeah.
So this, I mean, I was a month and some change away from getting married. Right here. Mm-hmm. That picture. Nice.
So that was my first career. That was my first love, cooking. Grew up loving cooking because, you know, my mom wasn't such a great cook. My grandma was a great cook, but my mom not so much. So me and my brothers all grew up saying we're gonna learn how to cook so we can never eat bad again. So right out of high school, I started working in like fast food restaurants, and I worked in a German restaurant in the kitchen for a little bit, learned some German cuisine. Started taking some classes to get my food license, and with that, some little culinary classes at the little community college we had in Florida. Then I moved to New York, and I started working at a gourmet market, an Italian gourmet market in the city. So like stuff that most people wouldn't even know how to pronounce, let alone ever see in the supermarket. So we started doing that, and I was taking little classes at the French Culinary Institute and the American Culinary Institute, both in Manhattan. I met people like Jacques Torres and Jacques Pepin, Wolfgang Puck, Mario Batali, Bobby Flay, some of these big names at the time. Anthony Bourdain, I got the privilege to meet Anthony Bourdain.
Wow. Now,
But just
Bourdain,
working to try and become a chef. And that was my goal.
Everybody loves Anthony Bourdain now. I mean, they loved him before too, but
oh yeah,
now after his story and everything that's come out, just kind of, we went through a bit of a culture shock with suicide with people that we just felt were okay, and it put a real highlight on that. And Anthony Bourdain was one of them. That guy traveled all over the world. He's got that really cool show, eating all over, and then all of a sudden, boom, suicide, and you're just like, what? That guy?
I will say this about Anthony Bourdain, and you'll hear this a lot about a lot of these celebrities and people. He was either really good at hiding it. I'm not saying, there's people out there that believe conspiracy theories and all the crazy stuff. That's not the time to talk about this or the show for this. But having met him personally, face to face, when I heard it was suicide, I'm like, I have a hard time with that.
Now,
really have a hard time with that. Being a psychology minor now, especially, I have a hard time with that.
So maybe this is the type of show that we could talk about on your thing, but I will just tell you, this is probably really shocking to probably a lot of our guests here, even because if you've been around, this is episode 143. I'm usually the most upbeat guy. I'm kind of, another thing, people might think that I'm even outgoing. It's funny that I coach baseball, and one of the kids on my team, his stepdad was like, "Oh, I've been watching your show, man. You're amazing. You're really good," and blah blah blah. And I just kind of felt like clamming up and going into my shell, like I'm not really good. Like, don't talk to me about it like that. But people say, it's a fun show. We have a good time, but there has been a time, and there's been times very frequently throughout my life that if I didn't have good counsel, if I wasn't married and loved my wife and loved my kids, I probably would have entertained the idea as well. And people would be like, "You really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man." I mean, there's been times where I just didn't like the person that looking back at. You know what I mean? And it's
absolutely.
So yeah, suicide has always been. I've always wanted to get the semicolon tattoo, and just because it's about the story. But that's a whole nother conversation. Maybe we could talk about that one of the times on your channel.
Definitely.
But, let's talk cuisine.
Cuisine, not lean cuisine either.
We always throw topics out there, and when I heard that you were a chef, you like to do that. I was like, look, we've been wanting to do cuisine. Honestly, I was kind of hoping we would do cuisine with Andy. You got to remind me, I got Andy's picks. So, because Andy and I have discussed what the best cuisines are, or what's the best type of food. Cuisine is a big word for. This is the type of food that you like, the type of food that we want to, the culture and all of that. You mentioned that there's only 7. There's only 7. Well,
and that all depends on where you read that.
My 4, and then we do 4 Benjamins. It is impossible to stay only at 7. So we're going to have to go into those subgenres. I can tell you right now, knowing the 7 because of looking it up for this particular show, I looked up what are the cuisines around there. They talk about those 7. I was like, oh yeah, I've got 2 or 3 that are not even in that 7. Sure, that I'm going to be discussing today, and I know looking at Andy's picks, he also has some. So, where were you go? What were you thinking about when let's get this thing going? Like, what's your criteria? And what makes you focus on this specific food?
So here's the criteria. In culinary school, when you're really going to real culinary classes, there's a lot of book work and a lot of study. People don't realize that. There's a lot of learning in culinary school. It's not just cooking and chopping and cooking and chopping. There's a lot of book learning. You learn that there's
it's not like going to Hell's Kitchen or anything like that.
You want to go to Hell's Kitchen, you better be trained first. I'm telling you that right now, because what those people do in that show, you have to be trained to do it at that level. I don't care where you're from. But there's really 5 majors, okay? Regardless of all the genres, all the things you read, there's 5 majors. There's French, Japanese, Italian, Chinese, and Spanish. Those are the 5 majors. My criteria is cuisines that I have learned to cook. And I won't say I've mastered the 4 that I've picked, but I've come pretty close to it, or I've gotten really good at it to where unless we're in a bind or we're in a rush or we don't have time, I don't go out to eat these cuisines. I cook them at home. So things that I've learned how to cook that I know the base flavors for, that I can cook this style of food or this style of food without even looking at a recipe. I just know what to reach in the cabinet in the fridge to grab and throw together and make a meal.
Oh, I see where you're going.
So I either have professional experience cooking it, getting paid as a job, or I've done it so much and mastered it so much that it's one of our go-tos at the house every week.
So if you're still out there, I see there's a couple people watching. If you're out there, follow along with us. What's your top 4 cuisines? So, all right, PJ, here you go. You know this how we roll. Rosie's number 4, right? Rosie's number 4. What is the entry level of the mountain where we start building your favorite cuisines?
I'm going to go Asian cuisine, specifically Japanese and Chinese. I grew up, my great grandpa was Japanese, so I grew up in a half Japanese household with my grandmother. I was raised with a lot of stuff like tempura, fried rice, Japanese fried rice, which is really plain. Noodles like soba noodles and udon and some of those noodles. Nikuman, which is a steamed bun with pork in it. Some people call it bao. You can go to certain places. There's different types throughout Asia, but it's a steamed bun that they put meat, some kind of meat inside of. All kinds of fish, flavors ranging from soy and mirin and ginger and wasabi, spicy, sweet, just a lot of neutral vinegars and neutral oils that aren't very strong. Sesame oil. It's normal for me to cook this stuff. Like last night, I just threw together some stuff in a pan and it was like chicken and broccoli with fried rice. And it took me 20 minutes to do because it's second nature for me. We make our own sushi at home. We make sushi bakes. I do beef and broccoli. We do these Asian turkey bowls. I grind fresh ginger. I do all these things. I don't just, buy packaged stuff or canned seasoning, jarred seasoning. I make my own stuff. We buy fresh seaweed and roll our own sushi. So for me, learning to cook this, part of it was my upbringing. My grandma used to make this stuff. So the other part, the Chinese side of it, because I sometimes, like last night's meal, was really a fusion of Japanese and Chinese together. But I grew up in New York. And like part of living in New York is eating takeout Chinese food. And believe it or not, like, here in the South, you have all the Chinese foods, takeout Chinese food. In New York, you have sit-down Chinese food restaurants that are really nice, high-class places where people wear suits to go and eat. You get treated well. You have a waiter that takes care of you that's dressed up. But I probably ate beef and broccoli as a kid before I ever ate beef brisket. So for me, Asian food is a very big staple in my diet.
And listen, I cannot disagree with this. Looking at the Asian cuisine, and I'm glad you put them together. And I know they don't necessarily belong together, but I'm glad you put them together because I'm not as trained as most people probably would on these. If somebody brought me a Japanese meal and somebody brought me a Chinese meal, I probably couldn't tell unless I knew that meal specific. Like if you brought me a new, you know what I mean? Like something I've never had, like, okay, here it is. I'm like, okay, this tastes really Chinese. No, that's Japanese. And that might sound like, even culturally or racist or whatever, but like the foods are very close to me.
They really
which
are.
Is one of the reasons this isn't on my top 4. And I mentioned this in the green room. What's up, Bryce? Bryce is going to be on in January or February. I think January for video games. Welcome, Bryce. Good to see you. Love to have you, man. So I have this probably as one of my top Benjamins, if not the top Benjamin. I was just mentioning I ate it today. I eat school lunch almost every day. It's cheap. It's already prepared. I don't have to bring it in. And it's not too bad. And today was Chinese. They had spring rolls, fried rice, some kind of teriyaki, barbecue-ish chicken, sesame chicken-ish stuff. And then some kind of like steamed vegetables and stuff, and it was pretty good. And as I was looking at it, I was like, man, I really love this kind of food, but is it on my top 4? And I'll lean into it with my criteria a little bit, but this is not a go-to for me. See, it sounds like it's a go-to in your house. Like, okay, you're mentioning like because of the way you were raised and who you are, it seems like it's a go-to. And I'll mention this also in my well, you know, I'll just jump in a second, but you mentioned that you kind of prepare everything from scratch. I wasn't raised that way. I was not raised that way at all. My mom and I will just go out chicken cavatelli MREs. Oh man. So Hammie and Son is a veteran, and he has a great show, and he talks about PTSD, and he does cards and things like that. But he is a military guy, so there you go, man. So hey, hello, Kirk. Andy's still in Argentina. I do miss that guy. Yes, absolutely. Andy should be back. Andy should. I think it was a 10-day thing. So my math is correct. This is like day 8. So I think he's coming back maybe at the end of the weekend. I don't remember exactly when he left, but I do know he'll be back on next episode, and we'll be rolling all next weekend. With not this weekend coming up, but next weekend with the St. Tammany Collectors Con. And yes, I love a good lean cuisine. Barry, I love you, bro. Man, you're gosh.
Oh man, lean cuisine.
Lean cuisine.
I used to love the kid cuisines when I was a kid.
Did you have lean cuisines?
The kid cuisine.
Oh yeah, the kid cuisines. But here's the thing: my family, my mom. I'll go on record for this. I've said it before, probably on this show. I've said it definitely without hesitation. Somebody asks me about food growing up. My mom was the worst cook I've ever met. And she also, my dad wasn't a cook, period. With a DT, period. My dad had no idea how to cook. My dad couldn't boil water without burning himself. But listen, he was horrible. And like my dad didn't own a barbecue pit. I remember when we first got that first thing and watching them try to figure that thing out. That was hilarious. But everything was out of a box. Everything was out of a can. Everything was some kind of casserole that came with 7 parts in a box, and you had to add some meat or add some seafood or add a couple cans of tuna. That was 90% of my meals. That and cereal had milk. So when I first
Encore frozen family meals, bro.
Oh, bro, yeah, I'm all over it. So
chicken croquettes,
dude. When I spread some jalapeno cheese, dude. Can I just share something? Hammie and Son, I love a good MRE. Now there's some that are being down in Katrina, we even got some when I was out of the military. But MREs, there are some good ones. And that jalapeno cheese, boom. That pound cake, boom. Avoid like the hot dogs, that wasn't good. Some of the chili mac, that kind of stuff. Most of them, if you had the right seasoning that you brought with it, you could knock that baby up. And maybe it's because my mom cooked like that. That's how I felt. My mom was making MREs every day. Amen. Dude, that pound cake will get you it'll get you 2 meals if you trade that pound cake. But so let me jump into mine. I'm the one talking. Criteria, PJ. So these are my 4 favorite types of food. And I'll tell you this, it was hard to get 4 because I kept nailing back to 3. So I took one of them and I divided it up. I just divided it up. I've got 2 genres that are close together, but they're not the same. So and I have 5 of my favorite. I'm trying to figure out which one I'm going to do. yeah, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. So these are just my favorite, my top 4 favorite types of food. If I'm cooking, this is what I want to cook. If I want to eat, this is what I want to eat. And you know what? I'm even gonna go. No, I'm gonna divide it up. Andy has one. I'm gonna let Andy go first. Andy, number 4 today, ladies and gentlemen. You won't believe this. Andy sent me his top 4 favorite meals, and his Rosie, ladies and gentlemen, is Mexican. Mexican is his number 4, and I'm just going to say this right now. This is my other Benjamin, and that's why it's kind of put me in a bind. Mexican, to me, I love Mexican food. It's just not, to me, it's not a go-to for me. I love all Mexican food. There's not many things that I'm like, but I get tired of it. My family loves it so much. They want to eat it every day. We always have Taco Tuesday. We always have, whatever on. It's there a lot. And growing up, because my mom sucked at Mexican, it sucked at whatever. Taco Bell was my staple. So real Mexican food doesn't impress me because I want more Tex-Mex, I guess. More the Taco Bell side of things.
Right.
So Andy's gonna go with Mexican. You like Mexican?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You'll learn about my feel towards Mexican.
I'm sure it might come up a little later. It's a big one, but it's off my. It's not on my whatever. But I do have one that I'm gonna bring up. This one is a subgenre of another type of food, and to me, it's my favorite thing to cook. I'm an okay cook. I'm all self-taught, and a lot of it just being single for a little bit and just having to figure out how to live and what goes together. But one of my favorite things to do is breakfast, and I'm going to go right here. This cuisine is just everything breakfast, right? And it's a subgenre of several different things. You can have some French, you can have some whatever, but I am talking about good old American pancakes, French toast, bacon and eggs, like everything breakfast. My favorite thing to make in my life, and it's my family's favorite thing, is my French toast. They call it Dad's French toast. I make it every year for Christmas. I usually make it around Thanksgiving. It's loaded with diabetes. It's loaded with calories. It's loaded with sugar. You need no syrup, but my kids still put syrup on it. They feel they have to. But it is filled with honey. It is filled with brown sugar, or regular sugar, and honey. That's kind of what in this big mixture, dunking it. But I'm going to go with the good old cuisine, to me, of breakfast foods. That's going to be my first.
Hey, Barry, he did not say anything about grits in that whole monologue of breakfast foods. But grits have to be on there, and so does biscuits and gravy have to be on that list.
What is the grit? I love grits. Listen, I had grits this morning at lunch. So at our school, every Friday you get oatmeal or grit. I mean, what a friendly school this is. For free, every Friday you get a bowl of grits or a bowl of oatmeal. Man. And I always go with the butter grits, and I load that thing up with cheddar, good old salt and pep, and I eat that every Friday morning. I do love grits, and that is a staple. But when I'm talking breakfast, you got to have the protein, you got to have the carbs, you got to have the sugar, right? And don't forget a good old bowl of cereal. Dude, I lived off of cereal most of my college years. Listen, and I know it's not, Bobby Filet would be like, that's not a cuisine. It's a cuisine to me. It is absolutely on my scene, and I'm going with breakfast food.
Breakfast is a big staple in our house. I also make a French
Breakfast
toast.
for dinner? Oh,
Absolutely. I also make a French toast that everybody loves, but I bake a fresh loaf of brioche bread and slice that up thick and make French toast with that. Everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, it's so good!" You only need one slice because the slices are like this big. But yeah, we do breakfast. I do biscuits and gravy a lot. I actually do when I make my biscuits and gravy because, of course, I make them from scratch, right? I cook up some bacon and put bacon, like chunks of bacon. Like after I cook it up, I chop it up into pieces and mix it in the gravy with the sausage, and it just elevates it. Bacon elevates everything.
Yeah,
but man,
so
yeah, I love breakfast too.
you can fix anything with duct tape and a hammer.
Yeah,
and you can make any food better with bacon.
Yep, bacon and coffee. That's it. That's breakfast of champions.
So
The
isn't
American
most
breakfast of
sugar?
champions.
Wait, hold on. Let me read this right. Isn't most cereal sugar? Listen, if it isn't sugar, it's not cereal I want. So I'll just say that. Cheese grits, yes, sir. Absolutely, absolutely. Love cheese grits. I will say this. And people are gonna think I'm crazy. So I do love cream of wheat, and my dad loved cream of wheat as a kid. And cream of wheat, one of the main ways to make it is to put milk and sugar in it.
Yeah.
I do that with my grits, and my wife
Okay.
thinks it's the most disgusting thing known to man. I'll eat cheddar grits. I'll eat grits in several different ways. But if you want to take me back to childhood, being like whatever, the actual bag of grits, not those little packets, the bag of grits with thing of sugar and some milk, bro, bring me right back home. Oh, isn't cream of wheat oatmeal? I don't think so. It's wheat. It's wheat.
It's wheat.
It's wheat. It's very similar to grits, though. It's just a different texture. It's got that
Right.
African American chef guy on the cover of it. That's the one I always think of. I can't think of his name. It's on the tip of my tongue, but we always got that same one. You know what? Also talking about breakfast. See, my wife can't stand this. My family just was not good cooks. I'm not a coffee snob. You love coffee. Are you a coffee snob?
It can be.
I'm not, because
So like this week, honestly, we bought coffee at Sam's when we went to Sam's, and usually I buy Community. That's what we keep. We just keep it because it's like $16 for a big bag of it.
And
They had the
being in
Starbucks.
Louisiana, Community is not. It's one of the cheapest, right?
So they had the Starbucks coffee, the Pike's Roast that they normally sell, the bags of it, the regular coffee. It was like $12 for a bag of it on sale. I bought 2 bags of it, so we'd have it because it was like $6 off per bag. So like, yeah, this month I might be a little snobby with my coffee because I'm drinking Starbucks, but no, we get a coffee out sometimes, but I'm not like.
The reason I share that is, one of my earliest childhood memories, and I've mentioned this on the show, but I probably didn't go into it in detail. That's my dad. My dad worked shift work, and sometimes he would get home from a late night graveyard shift, and he'd be sitting at the table before he went to bed, reading the paper, drinking his coffee, or he was getting up for a morning shift, same thing, just depending on when he went to bed or if he came home. And I would always see him in the kitchen getting ready for school. He would say hello, blah, blah, blah. And as a little kid, I would always go over and ask him for a bite of his toast. Now, my dad would make toast, lots of toast, like 3 or 4 buttered toast, and then he would cut it in like rectangles.
Right.
He would dip it in his coffee, and he'd let me bite the coffee buttered toast. Now, here's the thing: the type of coffee that my dad drank, because a whole nother story, was instant coffee. Instant. And look, if you could drink instant coffee, you can drink tar. And I'm going to tell you what.
Yeah, buddy.
Every once in a while, I talk my wife into buying some instant coffee because I just want to go back. Because my dad never had a coffee maker. My mom refused to get him. My mom was also one of the meanest people I've ever met. But
Yeah.
she refused again. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, so I love breakfast, and some of those things just bring me right back. I love my
Yeah.
dad to death, but having instant coffee with buttered toast, breakfast is awesome. And
Yep.
as a kid, I couldn't always cook, but I could make grits. I could make eggs. I could make cereal. I could
Yeah.
get the packets of oatmeal, and so I ate a lot of breakfast, and I love this. So yeah, glad you turned out nice. Yeah, my mom. My mom on record is one of the meanest people I've ever met. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So all right, so what's your second favorite cuisine? You're
Number
that's the only one that I would consider that's not. It's more of a section of food
Yeah, I mean,
in cuisine,
you can
but yeah,
you can look at it like, hey, if you ever look through the yellow pages and try and find a restaurant, breakfast comes up as a restaurant
yeah. See,
choice. So,
that's
like,
kind of
yes,
how
it
I
is a
felt.
cuisine.
Glad you brought that up because that was one of the things I typed in because I always use Chat GPT to get me started and kind of lead me in the right direction. I said, "All right, Chat, uh, what are the top restaurants in the United States, and what are all of their cuisines?" And breakfast
Right.
came up as one, and
I mean,
it brought up things like Waffle House and
Waffle
IHOP
House, IHOP,
and
Huddle
and
House.
and that kind of stuff, and
Yeah,
Cracker Barrel and like all these places that serve really good breakfast.
yeah.
And I mentioned Waffle House
Denny's.
on our show last week, Shoney's, Denny's, yeah, all that. So yeah, I'm in breakfast. So what is your TJ Jazzy Jeff? So number two.
All right, you ready for this one? TJ Jazzy Jeff. I'm gonna go with Italian cuisine. One of the classics, one of the iconic food genres. Look, you go to most banquet halls that for weddings and things like that. Most of the cuisine are the fancy cuisine in a lot of these places is based out of Italian food or French food. Those are your top two cuisines worldwide. You've ever had chicken piccata, chicken française, chicken parmesan, chicken scallopini, veal scallopini, any of that stuff. Prime rib, the idea of prime rib was started by Italian chefs. People don't realize that. Um, this is a cuisine I was raised around a lot in New York as well. Pizza was a staple in our house every week. Chicken and veal parmesan, meatballs, pasta, cold cuts, cheese, the bread, the cheesecake, the desserts, tiramisu, cannolis. Leave the gun, take the cannoli. That's where I was working. I was working in an Italian gourmet market when I started my culinary journey. So I was cutting like the big wheels of Parmigiano Reggiano, cutting that, making fresh mozzarella, like the curd in the hot water, like massaging it down and forming balls of fresh mozzarella. My New York will start to come out as I talk about Italian cuisine. So just give me a little grace here. I might, by the
I
end, I
love
might
it,
go, hey,
bro.
how you doing,
I love
guy?
it. I love it.
I stayed working in Italian cuisine. I opened my own pizza place. I even won a food competition, a chef competition with an Italian menu. Let's see. I made mussels fra diavolo, which is mussels in a red tomato sauce with crushed red pepper and garlic, and you saute it fresh. We had a cooking station. Most of the people had pans, and they just served it out to people. I had two gas burners, and I was frying mussels up for people as they were coming up and serving it to them. And the fragrance and the aroma of the Italian smells and everything. Bruschetta crostini, marinated mozzarella, seafood salad. I can say I've mastered Italian cuisine. If I ever have to compete in a food competition, I'll probably cook something Italian. When I say I've mastered it, I don't mean like I cook it good. I mean, I can make any Italian dish completely from scratch. You give me a bushel of tomatoes, some herbs, some spices, a bag of flour, and some curd. I'll make you a fresh pizza from scratch with no packaged ingredients. Like I can do the whole gauntlet of Italian cooking from fresh ingredients.
That is.
That's how I won. That's one of the ways I won my wife. I cooked her shrimp scampi with homemade, like rolled out, fresh homemade pasta, shrimp, and all the stuff like fresh, scratch. That was like one of the first times she came over to my house to eat a meal.
Now, this is an old pastor thing. You know what you win them with, you have to keep them with, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's why I cook all the
You have
time.
to keep cooking. But I'll tell
I'm
you
the
this,
head chef of the house.
I I I love this pick. Yeah, I mean, we just have to get to it because this is also my pick. I'm glad you brought it up. Italian is also my favorite. Third favorite, TJ Jazzy Jeff. It actually was higher and came down because if you tell me what's your favorite, originally Italian comes up immediately.
Right.
I'm a pizza guy. I'm dude. I am a lasagna guy, a ravioli guy, a spaghetti guy. I love a good sauce in bread.
Mhm.
Dude, there's not many
Okay.
things better than eating all your pasta, right? And then getting the bread and just taking
Scoop it.
all of that
Yeah.
out, and then constantly eating bread. I mean, I could fill up on just the bread.
Yep.
We were talking about it last week. We were talking about favorite restaurants, right? So
Yeah.
and I didn't bring it up, but Olive Garden, right?
Mhm.
Is a great place, but I don't love
Yeah.
it as much as some of the other spots. But because of the bread and salad, just the
Right.
bread and salad alone,
Right.
and then but like an Italian pie and all the one of my favorite restaurants of all time. It doesn't exist anymore, but in Slidell in our mall was the best pizza I've ever had in my life, and it was kind of old school, New York style,
Mhm.
deep oven cooked pizza. And I'm not the guy that needs to have a fresh pizza. I love a good Papa John's. I mean, I'm okay with any kind of pizza,
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
but this pizza, I still taste it. I
Yeah.
still right now like can imagine what that slice tastes like. I love Italian food. There's not a single. I love pasta, just
Mhm.
pasta in general. Now, one thing I don't like, and this is, there's very few foods that I'm like, don't like it. Now, I'll eat it. If somebody was to cook it with this in it, I will eat it, but it won't be my preference. I don't like ricotta cheese, right? And
Okay.
it's in a lot of Italian foods, including lasagna. If I get lasagna, I'd rather have like just a meats and sauce type lasagna with
Right.
mozzarella than that ricotta. Like I'm just not a fan of it. And there's some other cheeses I don't necessarily like that come every once in a while. But pasta, red sauce, bread, you got me sold. And
Mm.
then even the other things like fettuccine, Alfredo, and all that stuff. So Italian. Also, I was going to say this, and while you were talking, I was like, yeah, I'm French and Irish, right? You kind of mentioned a little bit of your background. I'm French and Irish. Uh, Irish doesn't have a whole lot of input into my culinary taste buds. Obviously, being from Louisiana, French does quite a bit.
Yeah.
But sometimes I just wish I was Italian. Like like I love watching Italian movies. I want to go to Italy. I love the whole idea about New York. Obviously, I'm a Yankees fan, but like I love that culture. I love that style. I want to go to like an old Godfather Italian type restaurant. I just love the whole idea, and I'm very jealous of what you're chatting about. That you can like whip this up from scratch. Like
Yeah.
I, there are some things in my life that I've always wanted to do. As a dad, there's some things you want to hand down, and I've always wanted to hand down a few separate kinds of recipes. And
Yeah.
Dad's pizza is one of them that I just want to like, figure out how to make my own. And this is what we're gonna eat. But like Dad's chili. I do make some pretty good Dad's stuffed bell peppers. I do that pretty good. But my French toast. But like that's one of those ones that I've wings. That's another one I've always wanted to. But yeah, pizza. Making a fresh pizza, man, I want to do that. I've always wanted like a brick oven in my house. But
Me too.
yeah, yeah,
I've actually looked into it.
yeah. So, anyways, I
Hey,
love this.
I'll say this, talking about Italian food. The other thing about Italian cuisine is it goes so much further than most people imagine. You know, like you get into the deeper, get into the different regions of Italy where it's not tomato sauce.
Script Scampy pickup lines. Let's go. And I don't disagree. I'm like a Ninja Turtle, man. The only thing bad about pizza is when it's late. You don't pay for late pizza.
You go into the different regions of Italy and you pick up all the different just flavors. It's, you know, there's so much fish, and there's so much vegetables, and there's so much different things.
I love fish, man. But that's never a go-to for me.
But you mentioned, you mentioned the World Series. You mentioned the Yankees. Hey, they beat us up before they beat you up. So
yeah,
I'm with you. I'm in the same boat with you, man.
I was worried about the Dodgers before the year even started.
Well, when you pay a guy $750 million, I mean.
And yeah, I love. This is a side note. I love when they're like, "We didn't buy our championship." Okay, and
you spent $1 billion on two guys.
The Yankees didn't buy theirs either. Hey, so listen, the guy has got 700 deferred. It's not in your stats. I mean, if you really, whatever, that's a whole nother story.
Different.
We're gonna lose the only two people we have.
Right.
So Italian. I love this pick, man. And so Rushmore with the Italian. But I do need to bring up Andy's pick. So Andy's pick, and I laughed at him. I said, "For real? I mean, you've only been there 3 times in your life." But for his TJ Jazzy Jeff, he's picking Argentinian food.
Wow.
And so, like empanadas, asado. He sent me this video.
Yeah. Well.
And he sent me all these foods. Yeah. So Argentinian. Oh, I mean, this is like finger sandwich. This looks like he's at a wedding or something. What is that?
Wow. Yeah.
This is all Argentinian food, but he's going TJ Jazzy Jeff Argentinian, and I was like, okay. I've never had that specifically. I've had an empanada. I've had some, carne asada, but that's kind of. I guess it's on the Spanish type, Latino type cusp of food.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit of Mexican introductions, but it's not one of the 7, if you will.
It's one of the subgenres.
It's a subgenre. All right, so look, we're halfway through. Time to do. So let's, like back in the day, they used to say we pay the bills. Let's pay the bills, and which we're not getting paid for any of this. I wish we did, but we don't. Barry, hopefully you're still hanging around. Bryce, I hope you're still hanging around. Let's share what's coming up. So next week we are going to be at the St. Tammany Collectors Con. And I am really behind. One of the reasons we probably only have a couple people in here, I'm really behind. I'm working on my master's. Forgive me. I'm sorry, but I have a schedule I need to put out so that everybody sees it. I'll put it online, and I'll get all those out way ahead of time in the StreamYard so everybody can kind of see what shows are coming up. I haven't done that properly this month, but next week we are going to be in Louisiana at St. Tammany Collectors Con, and I just wanted to play these videos for you guys. Let's see.
Attention all collectors and enthusiasts, the St. Tammany Collectors Convention is coming your way. Whether you're a fan of rare comic books, vintage toys, or unique collectibles, this is the event you've been waiting for. Join us November 16th through the 17th at the Cuisine Center in Mandeville, where passion meets memorabilia in an epic celebration of all things collectible. Discover exclusive finds, connect with fellow collectors, and meet some of the biggest names in the industry. Dive into panels, food, prize giveaways, costume contests for all ages, and live signings with our special guests featuring Daniel Logan from Star Wars, Steve Cardenas, Catherine Sutherland, and Nakia Burris from the Power Rangers franchise, and many more. The St. Tammany Collectors Convention has something for everyone, so mark your calendars, grab your tickets, and get ready to experience the largest collectors convention on the North Shore. For tickets and more information, visit sttammanycollectorscon.com or follow us on Facebook. We can't wait to see you there.
And one of the things that we'll be doing at the St. Tammany Collectors Con is we'll be dropping a line and doing our Nerd in the Word ministry. We call it Reboot. Oh, backwards. It's right here. Reboot. So let's check that out real quick.
Prepare to make the jump to light speed.
But sir, they're getting closer.
Oh yeah? Watch this.
Now, PJ, I'm going to invite you to join in. You're a pastor and a leader. And we have a lot of pastoral friends kind of hanging around. And I really wish we were further along than we really are with this ministry. But I'll just share we do some Nerd in the Word ministry. And the Nerd in the Word is basically take a movie, video game, or something that you're really nerdy, passionate about, and share a biblical tie-in with it and a message. And I'm going to invite several friends that have said they want to be a part of it, and I am just behind the 8 ball on it when it comes to it, and I'm really convicted. But one of the things that you can see is me preaching live. I'll probably actually preach on something that has to do with the show. One of the things is Power Rangers, Scooby Doo. There's some other good things. I'll probably throw some of that tie in. Come in over to St. Tammany Collectors Con and see that. Also, we want to share our friends at Culture Box, which is right here. And not next week, but 2 weeks from now, we will have our friends from Cellcast on. And I would love to share a quick video of those guys and just let you know all about them so that you get ready for that episode.
The Cellcast hosts Jacob and Drew review animated movies and TV shows, discussing what they appreciate about the medium in whatever form it takes, whether it's a traditional hand-drawn animated movie, claymation shorts, or a 3D CGI series. Check out some animated reviews when you subscribe to The Cellcast at thecellcast.podbean.com. And don't forget, Cell is spelled with a C and a single L at thecellcast.podbean.com.
And we can't wait to have Cellcast on. They're going to do animated food, which is going to be a fun trip down memory lane with some old cartoons. And last but not least, as we always do, the coffee, PJ, of the Rushmore Show is the Village Coffee, villagecoffee.com, Village Bean Coffee, Village Coffee. Andy's always the one that shares this, but it's our good friend over at the same church that he's at, our pastor's son, Cade, and he does Village Coffee. He says his favorite is the Mexican. So go over to the Village Coffee and try the Mexican. They are on Instagram, and you can find some really good coffee there. So let's get back into our show. And hey, we are to Link, PJ. What is what's your favorite of all time when it comes to number 2?
Man, so this was hard for me to iron out these last two, and I've flip-flopped these so many times back and forth, and I think this was my final flip-flop. But with this choice, I absolutely crush Andy's Rosie, and I somewhat crush Andy's TJ because they all fall under Spanish cuisine. Spanish cuisine is all of it. So my link is a double crush for Spanish cuisine.
Let's hit that up. Let's double crush. I don't know if we've ever double crushed. Had it twice because it was double. Yeah, I had it twice. So Spanish cuisine, tell me about it.
So I'm not talking about family taco night. We talked about that. Family taco night with McCormick seasoning or the cheap, fast Mexican food that you just run and, They bring it out to you in like a matter of 5 minutes after you order it, and the plate is piping hot and steaming, and the fajitas are. I'm not talking about all that. I'm talking about real, authentic, scratch Latino, Latin food, from Mexican to Puerto Rican to Cuban to Colombian, Venezuelan, Argentinian, Peruvian, Guatemalan, Honduran, Spanish food, Spanish paella, Portuguese food, Brazilian food, Latin food. Barilla tacos, arroz con pollo, arroz con dulces, ropa vieja, arepas with black beans and queso fresco, huevos rancheros. We talked about breakfast. If you've never had huevos rancheros for breakfast, I challenge you, if you like any of the Mexican Latin flavors, to find a recipe for huevos rancheros and kill it one morning. It's worth it. Not using powdered spices, but like breaking down types of chilies and herbs, making homemade sauces like mole with a grinder, a mortar and pestle, and a food processor. And like I said, I'm not sticking to just Mexican either, because Mexican's great. I love Mexican food. I love to go to a Mexican restaurant and not order tacos and burritos and enchiladas, but order like the steak dish that has all the grilled and sauteed mushrooms and onions and peppers, and the big, huge fire roasted jalapeno that you eat with the steak, and the rice and the beans, and like real authentic, just Spanish food. Again, growing up in New York, I had Puerto Rican and Cuban food like my next door neighbor. Hey, you hungry? Sure, come on. I got some arroz con pollo. I'm like, oh, chicken and rice. Awesome. Sounds great. You know, like just all of it. Like the Puerto Rican, the little fish croquettes. We talk about chicken croquets or chicken croquettes, the Encore frozen meals. Well, Puerto Ricans make these little fried fish croquetas. And it's like they take fish and they cook it and they grind it and they mix it in this log and they roll it in breadcrumbs and deep fry it, and like all of it. Because I can't stick to just one. I can't stick to just Mexican or just, I have to have it all. So it's a wide genre, and all the genres count in there. So for me, that's my link. It was my George, but I flip-flopped them because.
Okay. Well, first, let me say hello to Cherokee Girl. Welcome to the show. Welcome in. She's saying hi to Barry, my friend. She says, my friend taught me how to make green sauce. And she said there is a bad pizza and it has pineapple on it. I disagree. But yeah, pineapple is not my go-to at any stretch. But if there is somebody with a pineapple pizza there, I'm not turning it down. I will. And how about those empanadas? See, that's Andy's favorite. That's why he has Argentinian on his. But I can't say I love this bit. So here's the thing. Like, I don't not love this bit. That's the thing. One of the things is what I've learned because of my mom. And so again, my mom loved to burn food. My mom was not good at my mom would, she was not a great cook. We never really went out to restaurants to eat. So most of my childhood was eating at home with whatever mom cooked, right? And it wasn't that we were poor. My mom was just stubborn, and we weren't like rich. We definitely weren't rich. We were just middle class, but we never went out and ate. I remember like going to McDonald's was like an event, right? It was an event, and I remember when I met my wife. She introduced me to so many foods that I had never had before. And in my mind's eye, Mexican was the taco night my mom made, like you said, with the McCormick seasoning, or you buy the Taco Bell box that has a seasoning in it, and it's got some shells. You can get the soft taco one, right? Or you bought, whatever. And
yeah.
That's kind of what I envisioned, that, or say Taco Bell, or even better in my hometown, and they have one out by the airport in New Orleans area, a Taco Tico, right? There's not many of those around, but that's what I envision Mexican food. And I love that. And then when I got introduced to a more larger side of the Mexican, I'd rather the other Mexican. And not because it's because it's not like my taste buds are just terrible and ruined because of my childhood. But
Yeah.
like when I have real Mexican, I'm like, I'm not impressed. I'd rather not. Like one of the
Right.
things I just not a fan, and I'm not a fan of tacos because I don't like corn, those corn shells. And those, I think it's gritty. It tastes weird in the mouth. And so I would rather like a cheap taco shell.
Right.
But the food is great. Now, I will say this: I've never really been like, "Hey, you want to go get Mexican?" My daughter's ball team, and this is also something funny. Mexican to me is not food I want in the heat. I don't. I don't want it when it's cold. Like it's just weird to me to go out on a hot sunny day and go eat food that is going to tear my backside. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to do that. So, with that being said, like my daughter's ball team, when we go out and she plays in these tournaments, and we have like a break, all the parents are like, "Where are we going to eat?" And I look at my wife and I go, they're gonna all collectively pick the closest Mexican restaurant. Like it's like a thing. And every time we go there, I get the same few things, right? My favorite is chimichangas. I love fried burrito. I love that. But I love fajitas. I love tacos. I love burritos. I've never gone out and got the steak thing like you're saying. I do love the beans and rice. I love all that. But when I started working at this at my school, we had a half a day or whatever. When you get a half a day, you get to leave and go eat. And one of my probably my best friend, I guess, at school, the STEM teacher, he comes on here quite a bit. I'm trying to get him to be a guest, but he's a little shy. So Aaron, he's like, I'm going to get some Mexican food. Would you like to come? And I'm like, oh, really? Mexican? Okay. I'll go with you. So I go, and this place is one of my favorite restaurants of all time. I talked about it last week. Whatever they're doing over there is gold. Like, it is real Mexican food. It is the best quesadilla I've ever had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
The cheese, it's the cheese. Like, the cheese is just fresh mozzarella and, like, fresh. Like, I thought this was Italian, but it's not Italian. It's Mexican. Like, what they're using is, like, and it's so good. Then you add chicken, and, like, it's just so great, and I love it. I just avoid like the cornmeal, the corn tortillas, and all that. So this is why it's none of my top 4. I feel it's overrated, but I will never turn down going to Mexican. If you invite me to Mexican, we're going, and I can find something I want to eat there.
Yeah.
And if you said, "Here, try this," I'm not gonna be like, "Ooh, what's that?" Of course, give it to me. I'll try it. Great, that's fantastic. I love that. But yeah, it's just kind of down on the list. But I honestly, there's not a lot of foods I don't like. I just find some things are overrated. You mentioned sushi. I don't not like it. I just think it's overrated. I don't get the like addiction of it. Like I got friends that are like, "It's sushi night. I gotta have my sushi," and I'm like, "What? Okay. I mean, it's okay. It's all right."
Right.
And I've had good sushi, apparently good sushi, and I'm like, it's okay. Anyways. Shred your own cheese. Shredded cheese has prescription drugs in it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. They put anti-caking agents in the shredded cheese so it doesn't blend back together. We shred our own cheese anyway. It takes more time, but it tastes better.
Yeah, it does taste better. Real. My wife likes to shred cheese. I like convenience, I guess. And again, that's because of the way I was raised. My family, man. Hamburger Helper was our thing. I mean, we had Hamburger Helper 4 nights a week, 5 nights a week. But yeah, Cherokee Girl, I totally agree. Shredded cheese is great. like shredding your own cheese from the block. So, okay, so that's your link. My link. And I also, like you, could flip these either or. My number one and my number two could be flipped either or. And I am going to show my ethnicity here. This is where I'm landing, but I am going with good old grandma. I'm going with Cajun, Creole, French, New Orleans style food. And listen, it could be my number one on tomorrow, but today it's number two. Red beans and rice, jambalaya, crawfish, etouffee, you name it. But I'm talking, you got the hush puppies, you got the catfish. I don't care what it is. If grandma told me, like, see, my mom was a terrible cook, but my dad's mom was the best cook I've ever had in my life. Like, she was good old Cajun Creole. Everything was from scratch. I remember her coming over and like yelling at my mom, "Why are you cooking that stuff?" You know, I remember that. And my grandma, bro, she could whip up anything possible that comes in. I mean, things that you would find at like, you know, Commander's Palace and things like things that you would go into New Orleans to like these big deals, right? And be like, my grandpa makes that. I mean, you know,
Right.
oysters on the half shell and whatever it is, dude. Love it all. Mostly seafood, but not just seafood. We're talking chicken. We're talking meat. We're talking sausage. We're talking everything in there. Lots of okra.
Boudin.
Lots of fried foods. Just rice and lots of roux and sauce and more sauce and more French bread and po' boys and crawfish. And I say crawfish, like all of it. All of it. New Orleans style, Cajun Creole seafood. That's it, man. All day.
Absolutely.
That's the number two. Tomorrow it might be number one. We have red beans and rice every week. It's still here in Louisiana. I mean, still here in Atlanta. And I'll tell you, my wife does make that usually out of the box, like, because we'll when we're at home, she'll pick up like the Zatarain's boxes or the Jambalaya Girl boxes, because you don't get a lot of that stuff over here, and then we'll bring that here, and it's a good quick meal, and it's not perfect as far as like grandma makes it, but out of the box, it's one of the best meals. Like we bring that to people here, and they're like, "This is the greatest meal ever," and I'm like, "We literally made that out of a box," but it's got the right spices, whatever. And then you bring the Tonys, you bring the hot sauce, you bring all the other fixins, you know, whether it's crystals or Tabasco or Bayou butt burn, whatever you're trying to use, you're hot saucing it up. You know, what's the guy, the new guy? He's got like YouTube. He
Stale
does,
cracker.
yeah, that stuff is great.
While we wait, we hydrate.
Right. But have you had his like Tony's, like his?
I tried it. We like
decent.
Slap Your Mama. We're a big fan of Slap Your Mama.
I love Slap Your Mama. I have all of that in my cabinet. Every time I go home, Rouse's. I just go through Rouse's just to get all the things that like I can't get here, and I'm just like, I'm stopping in. Oh, beignets, like whatever, man, dude. I'm sure you love this food, but
I love it. I mean, I live here now, and like it's regular. It's weekly. You know, it's just normal. Like, you know, but like, hey, you know, I was thinking. You said red beans and rice, man. Get you a crock pot.
Oh,
we started doing our red beans in the crock pot. Ain't nobody got to cook when we do it. You just throw it. You saute the vegetables and the sausage first. You soak your beans overnight. You throw all that in the crock pot. Let it sit all day.
I will say this.
Yeah, you got some fresh red beans, Sha.
I will say this. The bag of Camellia red beans, we buy those often and bring them back.
Only brand to buy.
And then she'll, you know, my wife does most of the cooking. She can cook them. But usually just the convenience. Let's throw something in real quick.
Yeah.
Buying it. So to me, the beans, the box and the beans part isn't the big deal. It's how you season it after and how you add. Because one of the hardest things about cooking, and I just know this from watching everybody in my heritage, that in being in New Orleans and the New Orleans area long enough, the hardest thing is the roux. And you could burn that joker real quick. You could make it really bad. It just skips that part usually. It's basically giving you the free roux. And then you got to doctor it up. But one of the big deals is what type of meat you put in it, how you season that meat, how you cook that meat before you prepared it and put it in there, jambalaya, all those things. Yeah, so that's my thing, man. But Creole, Cajun, boom, that's my link. That's my link. Yes, sir.
How you like your gumbo?
Everything in the kitchen sink, bro.
Brown or with that foreign stuff in it?
Oh no. So no tomato for sure,
Okay.
and it's got to be brown. Got to be brown, and
we're good then. We're good. We can continue.
I prefer okra. I do like a seafood gumbo, but usually we get chicken and sausage.
Yep.
Here, like we don't normally add shrimp and crab here, but like back home, I would much prefer a good seafood gumbo with shrimp, with good jumbo shrimp and like some crab legs in it over the chicken and sausage. But okra is a staple. I mean, that's what gumbo means. Gumbo means okra. Yep. So, I mean, if you ain't putting okra in, which a lot of people don't, I'm like, bro, you're missing out because it's slimy and it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be. And so, I don't like super hot, but I don't like super not. You know what I mean? Like, I've got to have a little bit of kick. And I basically season everything with Tony's. Yeah. Like Tony's is my go-to. It's been my go-to since I was a little kid. Yeah. But I will put that on almost anything. I put that on my cupcakes. I love Tony's. I can't have enough of it. I actually have a big thing of Tony's at my school that I put on the food at school. I love Tony's. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in the house. Hello from Shrimp Hut. Patrick is one of the regulars. And Hammie's saying hello to Cherokee. By chance, are you in Maine? Hello, Patrick. And hello, Patrick. Semper Fi, do or die. Now, we're to the George, man. What's your number one?
What's Andy's?
Oh, thank you for keeping me on track. Thank you for keeping me on track because I forgot last week and I didn't do this. Okay. So all right, his number two. See, I can't get down with this one. And not that I don't like it. I just don't know that I've had enough of it. His number two is Vietnamese.
Okay.
Vietnamese. And I'm just not familiar enough with it. I just don't know a lot of Vietnamese foods. But yeah, Vietnamese is his number two.
Okay. Yeah, I might have had it once or twice in my life, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it.
I mean, I'm sure it's a branch off of that Japanese Chinese. It's over in that part of the world.
Asian.
I'm sure it's some of the Asian zing. I'm sure they use some of the similar spices. Yeah. But I just don't know. I don't know much about Vietnamese. I'm sure I've had food, but I was like, I couldn't tell you. So, all right. So what's your George? Number one.
All right. We're ready for this. Now, this one, let me preface this by saying this is my current genre that I spend the most time cooking and learning. And I've actually thought about and planned out a little video series that I wanted to do based off of this single division of cooking. And you can even include Latin cooking into this just because of the wide spectrum of Americana. Americana, right now, what I mean here, wide open, Americana, barbecue, wings, burgers, tailgate food, ballpark food. Look, the regions, you just talked about Cajun cooking, Tex-Mex, you name it, Americana. Everything from Canadian, whatever they eat in Alaska, Canada, all the way down to the very tip of South America. All Americana. The islands, the Caribbean, everything, North America, South America. It's wide open and it's regional and it's great. And it's the newest out of all the genres of food. It's the newest on the map because French, Italian, and Asian, Chinese, Japanese have been around for thousands of years. We've been here in this part for a couple hundred years. So we're the new boy on the block.
The Americana that you're kind of targeting is really a last 100 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know.
Barbecue is more American than anything else.
I can't believe we did this again, but so we nailed two. We nailed two exactly. So my number one food is American, and that might be a little. I kind of was like, man, I am super uncultured to say this, but I'm so glad you're saying this because here's the thing. I was thinking about what do I want to make on a daily basis. Like when I come home, what would I rather eat? When I go and open up the refrigerator, I'm looking for a steak, a burger, a chicken wing. I'm looking for some kind of meat, right?
Right.
And then the side is what can I throw in the air fryer? French fries, mozzarella sticks, potatoes, some kind of something to go with it. I'm a huge burger guy, dude. I love burgers. We're gonna talk burgers with Hammie and Son. That's our topic when he comes on. But I agree, man. It's got so many. But my favorite thing you said, you were like throwing things out. When I'm talking about mine, everything that you can find at a tailgate, 100%. I'm a sports guy. One of my favorite places I mentioned last week was Buffalo Wild Wings, and when I said it, I said, "Ooh, I'm probably giving away a little bit tomorrow next week." Buffalo's don't have the best food, but it has my favorite. It has burgers, it has wings, it has mozzarella sticks, it has fried stuff, it has fried a lot of things. It has finger food. I want to be able to walk up to a table, watching a ball game, throw a bunch of things on a plate, and just sit there in front and eat and eat and eat and go get another burger and then make a different burger, like get a Texas style burger with an onion ring and some barbecue sauce, or go over here and get me a bacon double cheeseburger, right? Or go over here and get one of the with the fried egg on top, a little sunny side. Look, but burgers haven't been around forever. Hot dogs, sausage, just sausage in general. Now I know most sausage is not American, right? It's Italian. It's but I'm talking about
we perfected
we make it in
We've
America.
perfected it. Nobody makes it like us. It's not called a hamburger because it comes from here. It originated in Germany.
Right.
But you don't go to Germany to have a hamburger. You come to America to have a hamburger.
I show up to a tailgate and it is sloshed up, covered with the best barbecue sauce, and it's cooking, and you got it simmering, smoking. You're throwing that wood chips on there. You got it going, and you lift up that. And look, I'm going to be honest. I am the worst, dude. Probably my most embarrassing thing in the history of being a man here, PJ. I'm gonna own this up. I'm going to share this up. I am the worst barbecue. I am not a pit guy. I am not. I am terrible at it. My wife does all of it. When Andy comes over to my house, he does all of it. I am terrible because I'm going to tell you, we didn't have a barbecue pit when I was growing up. My dad never taught me. My mom, when we got one, I remember the first one we got was one of those little smaller ones you put on the ground, right? Or you supposed to set it on like a table. I remember it being on the ground at my house, like it was on like the porch. And it was just like little thing. I'm terrible at it. I burn everything. My mom burned everything. I thought that's how it was supposed to be. And my wife is really good at it. But I will say, ribs. Listen, country style ribs. My wife boils them and then cooks them. And then the baby back ribs where you just wrap them in foil and just load it with just stuff. Love that, man. I am my favorite food. If you can, you had me at what, right? Barbecue sauce and American cheese and cheddar cheese. Bacon goes on almost all of this. Bacon, meat. Yeah. I could be a carnivore, bro. I could definitely be a carnivore. I love it. It's
America.
America. America.
But yeah, for me, barbecue's the big thing. I've become a bit of a pit master over the years.
Gosh, I almost so there's
I had to put a lot of work and a lot of look. I've smoked a lot of bad pieces of meat over the years. I've made things terrible just to learn to make them right. But for me, it's just an art. Like I start my smoker in the morning, I get it ready, get it where it needs to be. The meat's prepped overnight. I put it out there and I just let it sit, check it every couple hours, put some fresh wood chips out every couple hours and just let it do its thing. I've learned to be patient. When I was younger, I didn't have the patience to do it. I wanted to fast cook everything. So I would grill. I'd grill some steaks, grill some chicken, grill some hot dogs.
So I love that. See, that's my problem. I don't understand temperature and time. I just want to throw it on and cook it. And I'm like, yeah, I ruined this. Like to me, like the temperature and time gets me.
I've burned a lot of meat over the years.
Oh man, and my friends are good at it. They laugh at me because I'm not. And tell me this. So we're talking barbecue. I almost divided up American and barbecue in two different places. So I almost did. American barbecue breakfast, and that was three different in what I felt were in the same one. I didn't do that. Tell me this. Where do you lie with barbecue? Are you a ketchup base, a mustard base, a vinegar base? Where do you lie on that?
It's hard because I'm a purist, so I like the meat. Right. The smoke flavor is enough for me. If I'm putting something on it, it's usually
because if I am putting something on it, it's usually a hot Carolina, sauce. They live and die by those certain sauces.
Yeah. Well, I used to go spend time with my dad in North Carolina when I was a kid, and on the eastern side. So the eastern side's very vinegar based.
Yep.
I like that. I like them all. There's not a barbecue sauce I've ever tasted that I don't like. You just have to pair it with the right meat. I'll tell you what I do not like. No offense to anyone from Alabama, but that mayonnaise-based white barbecue sauce, keep me away from it. It's not barbecue sauce. It's dressed up mayonnaise. You can keep it. You can have it. You can do what you want with it. Don't ever put it on my plate.
There's three staples in the sauce, the condiment category: ketchup, mustard, and mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Mayonnaise does not make a good barbecue.
Right.
The other two, I can feel. But the other that one, I don't.
But Eastern Carolina and also deep in the heart of Arkansas, my wife's family.
Baby. Kansas City.
My wife's family owned a barbecue stand in somewhere in Arkansas. I can't take it off the top of my head, the name of the place, but they did pork butts, and the sauce was a vinegar hot sauce based sauce. And that's the same thing in Eastern Carolina, is a vinegar hot sauce based sauce. I like that better. And the coleslaw, a vinegar coleslaw too.
And I know we're men of the cloth. We're spiritual folks. No disrespect to my Muslim friends, but I don't understand how you can't eat pig. Dude, I love pork belly. I love pork butt. I love bacon. I love pig. Dude. I like eat pig's feet. I will eat ears. I will whatever. Dude, I love pork. Yeah, and I know. It's so bad for you, but I don't care. I brisket. Yeah. Oh my gosh. A good smoked brisket, and you're like, and that thing just falling all over the place. You have me sold.
Yeah.
Sold. Listen, number one cuisine, American. But it was really close to that New Orleans. I could flip them. Been on day, but I'm a fast food guy. I'm not gonna lie. I gain weight, and then I lose it, and I gain weight again because I am stuck at getting a bacon double cheeseburger at whatever place you want me to stop at. And I love fries, and it's just great. Well, that's our top four, man. So we nailed 2 with Rushmores. Now this next set of 8 is gonna be hard.
What's Andy's?
Oh yeah. I'm looking down at it right now. Hold on. I'm gonna have to go into my branding because I need to do Andy's number 1 is George, which is not a shocker to me because when he comes over to my house, he asks for my French toast all the time. His breakfast.
Breakfast.
His number one is breakfast. And when he sent it to me, I was like, "Whew, that makes me feel better," because I was putting breakfast on, and I was like, "Is that really a cuisine?" And he sent it, and I was like,
"It is."
And then you agreed, and so look, I'm good. Breakfast. So his top 4: Mexican, Argentinian, Vietnamese, breakfast. So there you go. Good list. He doesn't give us any of the second sets. He only gives us the top 4. Andy will be back next week. So let's jump into our Benjamins. Now, this is a time where we can't crush, and there's a lot left, but there's not a lot left. Because, like, there's this bunch of subgenres. But here we go. Let's go. All right, guys, you know how we do this thing. So you get first pick. We can't say anything we've already mentioned. So no Italian, no Mexican, no Vietnamese, no Argentinian, no breakfast, no American, no Creole Cajun. We can't mention any of those. And whatever else we mentioned, Spanish. But what we can do is you're first, I'm second and third, you're fourth and fifth, I'm 6 and 7, and you're 8. So we're gonna do 8 more picks. Just like that. Let's see what's out there. What's the number one thing that we missed as far as cuisine goes that we haven't talked about yet?
Well, I'm going to jump into this one with a great big Guten Tag with some wonderful German cuisine.
German. I kind of had a feeling you were going to go there because you mentioned you were kind of studying it.
German restaurant. I worked in a German. That was one of my first restaurant jobs, working in a German restaurant. I learned how to make all the different types of schnitzel, about all the different types of bratwurst and whitewurst.
I love a good beer brat.
Yeah, but
I love the sausage with the sauerkraut and the
sauerbraten. If you've never had sauerbraten's fantastic.
Have had that.
You have to make sure the person knows what they're doing when they cure it, when they age it or they brine it, whatever, because it's supposed to be brined for a week in 2 types of vinegar and pickling spice. So you just got to be careful with that because stuff can grow in there if you're not doing it right. But man, my grandpa, he wasn't my natural grandpa. He was my step grandpa, I guess you could say. He was German and Irish, so we ate a lot of German food when he was around. But man, just to open a jar of sauerkraut and just eat it out of the jar with a fork. Very common thing for me. I love German food. I love German cuisine. I kind of stopped a little bit for a few years because I quit drinking. And a lot of times when, you associate the German food with the different types of beer and drinking beer and eating German food. So especially going to a German restaurant when they have those big, long wooden things with all the beers on them.
I don't know that. So I feel like here in America, we don't have enough German restaurants, right? So either you're buying it from the grocery store and you're kind of making it your own, which I don't think it's prepared the way that they would make it because I'm not trained in that. So I don't know what a lot of good. Now I was in Germany for a hot second on my way to Iraq when I was getting deployed. But I stayed in the airport the whole time, so didn't get to eat any really good cuisine there. I probably ate a burger or something there in the airport because that's what I do. But I do love a couple of those things though, like the sausage, of course, and I love beer, dude. When I'm sober now, 14 years, but beer, I'm gonna be honest, was a staple in my life. And going to something like Oktoberfest would have been a dream of mine to go down there to drink beer and have Polish, or not Polish, but German brats and things like that. That would have been really cool. But that's not a time in my life that I'll ever do that, and that's okay. But I would love to have a lot more German food. I think German food is probably underrated for me because I don't have enough. Probably a lot like Vietnamese with Andy. All right, so I'm going to jump into 2. And look, this is really hard because, like you said, Asian, so that covers both Japanese and Chinese. So so there's some things that I'm kind of wiggling around. I'm going to go with this one. This one should have probably been on my number 4. It's really hard because I do love this food. But I'm going to go with good old, I'm in Atlanta, Southern soul food, like chicken and just all the, you know, uh, collard greens and all the things, bro. I love good old soul food. I love the and it kind of is American as well. But here's the thing: but it's soul food. It's more blended in the African American culture and some of the things that they're doing, and you know, like chicken and waffles. What, breakfast and chicken together? Give me a break, man. I used to take care of a guy who was in a wheelchair. He's African American. Every single day that I would come to pick him up, his mom would have one of 2 things cooked for me: some kind of soul food or some kind of Cajun food, soft shell crabs or good old Southern fried chicken that she got going on with chitlins. I've never had chitlins in my life. They smell terrible when they're making them, but man, I don't know. It's good. And I'm like, wow, this is great. I can't believe you make this. This is disgusting what you made, but I'll try it. Oh, this is good. I like it. So, anyways, Southern soul food. You know, you got to have the biscuits. You got to have the cornbread. You got to have the sweet peas. You got to have all that. So, then I get a second pick. And my next pick, I kind of mentioned it before. You threw out Mexican. I'm going to go with a little Tex-Mex. That's my style. I'm like Tex-Mex. Kind of bringing in the fast food style, you know, the Chipotle, the Taco Bells, but even more so like Chili's. Chili's is underrated to me. One of my favorite places to go after church with the fam. We go down there. I love Tex-Mex. You know, good fajitas. It's not real Mexican, but it's more the style that I love.
It's more Texican. Chili's baby back ribs.
Well, if you watched my video last week on my name, so yours says host of the Reformation. Mine said, I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back. Yeah.
Barry just said that.
Yeah, I love it. So
all right.
That was my thing last week.
So we're ready. You kind of mentioned this one earlier when you were talking about heritage, but my next one is Irish cuisine.
Oh, the other one. See,
because I'm part Irish.
Like, other than like alcohol, like Irish Bailey's Irish cream and Guinness and
believe it or not,
I have not had a lot of Irish food.
There is a very strong culinary presence in Ireland. There is a lot of stuff that grows naturally in Ireland. It's grown naturally in Ireland for a long time. But because of all the history of people talk about the potato famine and the oppression of the British.
Well, it's really built around a lot of potatoes, right? Like
gathered up
and stuff like that.
A lot of vegetables and a lot of fish, believe it or not. But some of the staples of Irish food, something that we make in America and we've turned it into an American dish, shepherd's pie, is traditionally an Irish meal.
Bro.
Bangers and mash.
Pause. One of my favorite foods of all time from the cafeteria was shepherd's pie.
Yeah.
When that day when they have shepherd's pie, I'm like, I'll eat your food. I'll eat your food. I'll eat your food. My wife makes the best shepherd's pie I've ever had. Now, I know it's not probably the best in the world, but when she makes it, I'm in heaven. I'll eat the whole casserole. I love this. When you mix potatoes in a good gravy with cheese and meat, shut up. Let's go. I love it. Dude, and you're right. That is Irish. I mean, I've had much more Irish meals than I can think of. But when I put it all together, I'm like, oh, yeah. A lot of potatoes.
A lot of Irish stew and all that stuff. So that's the next one. And then after that, we're going to stay in Europe, right? Because every European nation is essentially a subgenre culinarily. So we're going to go to Greek food.
See?
I love Greek food. I've started to venture out into making my own Greek food.
What's your go-tos? I need to hear the go-tos.
So it's either falafel or just the lamb, the gyro meat, with the feta cheese and the fresh pita.
So a lot of Mediterranean food is falafel and all that stuff. And I'll share that. So shared this story quite a bit. There's so many stories that I just love stories. Anyway, I was in the military, and I've never been courted by a girl in my life except for this guy, right? So I was like, oh, I got to do something. And she wasn't like the worst looking girl in the world, but it's before I was married. It's before I even met my wife. So just throwing that out there. And a girl, so I was working in a hospital, and this girl was training to be an optometrist. So she was going to be a doctor. And she comes into my office, and she needed some paperwork, and I was kind of in that area to do that stuff. And so she was kind of like hitting on me, and she asked me to go on a date. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll do that. Go out on a date with a doctor, sure, that's cool. And anyways, she brings me to this Greek restaurant, and I am clueless. Let me tell you, I am clueless. Again, remember what I said. I never really ate out at restaurants. This is before I met my wife, who really broadened my horizon with a lot of food. And she brought me there, and I was stumped. And I didn't want to seem stumped because, you know, we're on a date. Like I'm trying to impress her or do whatever. So I'm like, hey, look, I really haven't had too much of this. What's your go-to? And she got me this eggplant something or other. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like it. This is the only time that I remember eating eggplant, and it's probably the only time I will ever eat eggplant, because it was to me, I did not like whatever this was. I hated it, and I'm going to tell you right now, I ate every bit of it. I ate every single bite. I acted like it was the greatest thing ever, and I don't know that I've eaten much since then. I don't know that I've eaten.
Was it Baba Ganoush?
I have no idea. I just know it was eggplant something. And I'm like, anyway, I didn't like it. And I didn't like it. I ate all of it. And I don't go to Greek food that much. I've had some gyros. I've had those before. Those are really cool. I love those. And because I love meat and I love bread. And, you know, you make it right. But Greek's not a thing that I'll ever really just pop into. And but yeah, sure.
Well, I had a lady down the street growing up as a kid. They were a Greek family, and during the holidays, she'd bring all kinds of stuff. She'd bring fresh spanakopita and all kinds of stuff, fresh baklava. If you've never had homemade fresh baklava, it's good stuff.
So, okay. So here's the funny thing, and maybe we can just mix the two. Maybe we can mix the two, and I was gonna kind of whatever. I guess there's probably some ties into this type of food, which is my next one. Hey, Farhan's one of my students. Also, look at Patrick wrote here: hamburger helper, lean cuisine, hot pockets, and microwave cuisine. This sounds like my childhood. And Barry says lean cuisine for the win. For single broke guy. Well, look, this is how our family rolled. I love this. It's all Greek to me. That's maybe PJ. Maybe we're kind of crushing, but we're not, because I'm going to go with a different thing. I'm going with Middle Eastern.
Oh,
I'm going to go with Middle Eastern food. And when I was in Iraq, I had this, and I loved it. And you mentioned just now baklava, and you mentioned something else. What else did you say?
Spanakopita. It's like a spinach.
Said another one, and both of those.
Baba Ganoush?
No. Because you mentioned that for about the eggplant.
Yeah.
Anyways, when I was in Iraq, yes. When I was in Iraq, they had all that, and it was a part of that, and I was like, I love that, and I love that. My favorite thing, and I love it to death, is they would make, and I don't know what this bread is called. You probably know what this bread is called, but it was like pizza dough bread with no yeast. It was flat bread. They had this crazy brick oven. It was huge, and they would slap it all over the roof, and
bread.
It would literally burn, and they would reach in there and they'd grab it and they'd throw it on the ground, and there was a stack of bread. You just walk over to this pile of bread, snatch a bread off, walk over to the shawarma, get this big old knife out, and slice meat goodness all over it. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's some of the best thing I've ever put in my mouth in my life. And that's probably, that should be clipped and used because it's a funnier statement on another way. But it is, dude, when I was in Iraq and I had that food, I was like, this is fantastic. This spinning meat of just glistening chicken roast and just cutting it off onto that bread.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
And then they had the baklava and all that stuff. And there was a couple things there I didn't like. They had this like stuffed cornmeal thing, pie situation, which was, I guess, their kind of try at a chicken pot pie, which is probably Irish too. Is that Irish chicken pot pie? Probably English.
It could be, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Probably more.
Anyway,
I think it's more English. I think the
I'm
English are
gonna
more into meat pies.
I'm gonna go with Middle Eastern food. Gosh, I love that. And my last pick, and I really, here's where I wanted to throw Chinese. I wanted Chinese or Japanese, whichever one you were going to pick. I was going to pick the other one. I like both of those, but you kind of you push them together. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with another kind of Asian food that I really do like, and I'm going to go with Jak Tok Thai. Jak Tok Thai real well. I'm going with Thai food, man. I love some Thai food. It's not, and Thai is one of those 7 cuisines. Yeah, so like, here's the thing: Thai is really good. Lots of spice,
Right.
lots of like flavors. There's just a lot of pad Thai, like just a lot of really good stuff. A good Thai restaurant's always a fun place to go to. But yeah, the spring rolls, the curry, just a lot of good stuff. I'm gonna go with Thai.
All right. Well,
last pick.
So you booted me with the Middle Eastern. I was going to come back with some Israeli, Middle Eastern, or similar.
Okay.
So
sweet.
But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my roots as a culinary student.
Okay.
And I'm going to mention French cuisine.
Oh, see, I was going to say French.
Because a lot of everything we talk about is based in French.
Leaned a little too close to the Cajun.
Right.
But they're different. They are different.
They are, absolutely. Classical French.
Yeah.
Classical French.
I love French.
I learned a lot of techniques, a lot of cutting techniques and cooking techniques with French. One of the first dishes I ventured out to try and make was a dish called, what was it called? It was a veal dish, and it was from the region of Normandy. But it was made with apples and apple brandy. And, man, I made that. I was 14 years old when I made that. And it came out really good. I was impressed with it. But, man, French cuisine.
French cuisine. What I love about French is the breads.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of croissant, a little, the good bread. They have so many good breads. Right. And when you're using the breads, they use them in multiple ways. But obviously, you got the side. But there's a lot of really good sandwiches in the French culinary world with all these breads. It's nice cheeses and just other kinds of meat. I know, like when and this isn't the staple. I get it. You don't have to call me out, but like when we go to Disney, right? You go to all the places. When you go into the French restaurant at Disney, it is literally like dessert and bread. I mean, because that's a lot of the staple.
And don't forget, French cuisine was put on the map by a great Disney movie called Ratatouille.
Ratatouille, yeah, and that's actually
Ratatouille and Patootie.
Yeah, Ratatouille is the ride, a part of the restaurant. Yeah. So if you've been recently, there's a really cool Ratatouille ride right in the back side of that French restaurant that I'm even speaking of in Epcot. But man, great pick. I almost picked this. Thought it might be too close to my other one, but it is quite a different type of food. They don't use as much spice, but there is because
richness.
One of the things about Cajun food is not only that it's French, but it's got the mixture of the Creole that brings in the other different spices. And then Cajun, I mean, they'll cook a rat. I mean, they don't care. They'll cook a nutria, they'll cook a gator, a lizard.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. You're gonna spice it right.
Right.
But yeah, man. So I was going to say French fries. Okay. French fries is more American for me, but yeah, French fries. Because yeah, it's just the way they go.
Right.
The single broke guy. Hammie and Son, I can't wait to hang out with you on the show. Hamburgers, man. Hamburgers. Just while you're on here, Hammie and Son, I don't know if you've done this yet. Send me a picture that you want me to use for our thumbnail and stuff. I don't know that I have one. And your logo. You can send it back to that email. But man, this has been our show. And PJ, you're always invited. I'd love to come on your show when you get going.
Yeah.
Again.
Hey, just hit me up. We'll schedule a
I
time,
love
man.
the suicide one. That's a cool one. But there are some other things that I would love to chat about. I mean, whatever you want to go in, man.
I'm always ready, man.
So with the few friends that are here, Hammie and Son, Patrick, Barry, whoever else is out there, Bryce, you're still lurking. We love you guys. Share with them where they can find you.
Man, I'm on YouTube, Reformationist Podcast. I'm also on Spotify. I actually have a sermon channel too on Spotify. If you ever want to go listen to some of my sermons, because I do preach every Sunday at my little church here in Hayes, Louisiana, Hope Church. But yeah, Reformationist Podcast, look me up. It's called Coffee with Pastors, but you'll find me as the Reformationist Podcast. Check me out on YouTube here, on Spotify. And that's it, man. I'm on Facebook. You can search me, Peter J. Dunn.
And he's not on Instagram because I tried tagging you, and
Right.
you're not on the gram. But and honestly, the show brought me onto Instagram more than if I didn't have the show, I probably wouldn't be on as much.
Right.
But it did bring me on there, and a lot of the contacts that I get are through Instagram. So hey guys, if you're out there, say hello, DM me if you want to be on the show. Patrick, Barry, I always throw it to Barry. I'm gonna get him one of these days. And anybody else, if you want to be on the show, send us a DM at the Rushmore Show at Instagram or even Facebook, and we'll get the story moving. We have all of food booked. We have almost all of video games booked. I just have to nail out the schedule. We are starting to lock in people for music and movies. PJ, if you want to be back for music or movies, let us know. We'll
Definitely.
rock that. We'll definitely do that. And PJ, I would love to invite you to be a part of the reboot and doing the nerd in the word with us. So coming up with a geeky nerdy topic and throwing out this is going to be the kind of the format, 10 to 15 minutes. You're going to do the geekery, and then you're going to do the word, and then you're just going to tell people a couple points on how to find us and if they need any help. It's a real easy thing. You can go check out a couple of the other sermons that we've done. Quick, nerd in the word, blips. Guys, just a reminder, next week, 15th, 16th, we'll be live almost the whole day on Saturday. We'll be walking around, interviewing people at the con. If you're into that kind of thing, be sure to watch. Bump those hours up with these big videos. They're really fun because people can jump in and out. But help us get to that next 1K, right? We've just passed 1,000. We got all the way up to, this is funny. So you mentioned this, PJ, that sometimes things happen and disappear. So I've been playing around with a couple different things that can kind of help or hurt you in the YouTube world. And I ran across a app, right? In this app, I just did the free side of things and logged in a bunch of stuff. And all of a sudden we got like 200 extra watches and like 50 other subscribers, like that. And then like a week later, it all disappeared.
Wow.
They took it all off. We were up to like 1,040 last week sometime. And I was like, I'm gonna try this and see what it's like. And so I tried it, and we were up to like 1,040. And this morning I looked, I think we were at 1,008. I was like, well, they took them all away. But so yeah, the watch hour, the algorithm thing, that's kind of weird. Patrick, love you. Hammie and Son, love you guys. Barry, Farhan, good to see you. It's time to tell everybody go. This is usually when I send it over to Andy. Hey, Andy, do you have any last words? Yeah, well, thank you for holding this down for me while I was in Argentina. I was eating all this great food and ministering and building churches, but it's time to go home because I need to get to my kids. And we'll say it like we always say it. This is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4
and nothing more.
Peace.